You're listening to The Inspired Guide, episode 36. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Inspired Guide podcast, the podcast that encourages you to stop dreaming and start doing. I am your host, Darlene, and today I am answering the question, what got you into running races, running half marathons, and how has it impacted your life? Taking on a challenge of recording one episode a day for 30 days in a row is quite the task. As I've said, I'm down for the challenge, but I must say I have to get a little creative on some days. So today I'm kind of cheating. So the question at hand is how I started running, and I actually answered this question in a podcast series I did with one of my besties, and I talked about my self-care practice, which is running. And in that episode that I have recorded already about 2 years ago, I share the story of how I started running and my first race. And I think all of that is applicable to the question that was asked of me recently. To save myself some time and a little bit of my sanity, I am going to rebroadcast that episode and then come back towards the end and answer the second part of the question, which was, how has running impacted my life? Without any further delay, here is the first part of the question answered. What got me into running? So here we go. Before I talk about my current self-care practice when it comes to running, I want to go back, way back, to when my whole experience with running began. And it actually first began in, now I'm going to date myself, in late 1991 when I was about to enter high school. I was shy throughout my whole grammar school career, and I decided when I was entering high school that I was going to try to step out of my comfort zone. And so I signed up for the cross-country team before I was able to even get the physical paperwork that I needed to complete at the doctor to join the team or start high school, or even before the first practice. I dropped out of the team. From that time on, all the way through my late teen years and all the way through my 20s and 30s, there was always this pull to want to run. And then there would be this voice in my head that would say, oh, your knees aren't good, you can't run, or you're not athletic enough to run. And that would be myself talking, the stupid inner critic in my ear. And I would see people running along the street or at the park, and I would always think to myself, gee, I wish I can do that. Or if only I had stayed and did the track team or did cross country. And I had a lot of if onlys running through my head. And finally, in I guess it was 2013, my husband and I did a 5K walk. And me and my friends would do a lot of 5K charity walks in our teens as well. And so I was very used to walking that distance, but I had never ran that distance. During a 5K walk with my husband, the runners, they had the run before the walk, and we were watching all of the runners come through the finish line and how excited they were. And my husband looked at me and he said, we should do the run next year. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, let's do it. I was like, okay. So we committed to doing our first 5K for a charity walk, our charity walk run. That charity walk run is usually held in June, and so the whole following spring we trained. There was a lot of crying and a lot of cursing. Not cursing out loud, but cursing in my head. There were moments where he would finish before me because he's much faster, and I would break down and cry and say, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, you're better than me, I'm slowing you down.
And one time I even like hyperventilated. It was like I was really getting down on myself. So that first experience with training for running it was hard, but it was also a really good learning experience because we then did the 5K. And I remember seeing the finish line for the 5K run, seeing the finish line getting closer and closer as I was running, and closer and closer and closer. And I started tearing up because I did it. And I proved to myself in that moment that it was possible. And ever since then, we haven't looked back. We've done 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, mud runs, it's color runs, and it's so much fun. Now my husband, he's taken things to the extreme, and he now does marathons, and I'm like, all right, dear, you go on with your bad self. I'm quite comfortable where I am for the moment, and actually I'm gearing up to sign up for my next half marathon. And so to give you an idea of how fast, or I should say slow, I run, my typical half marathon finishing time is about 3 hours and 25 minutes. And as I record this, I'm actually sitting at the park where we train and where we run. I will be hopping out of my car momentarily and getting this run on. But I wanted to share that with you because there's a lot of lessons that I hope you will take away from this mini session. And the first one is you'll always have a lot of if-onlys for a specific topic, especially when it comes to changing a habit, and even more so when it comes to self-care. Because you might think, well, I have so many other obligations I need to take care of. Not just if-onlys, but so many I can't. I can't because my daughter needs me. I can't because I have to go grocery shopping. I can't take a few moments for myself because. Do it. For me, running, it grounds me. There was a while where I had stopped running and going outside daily. I would go maybe once a week. And I didn't realize until I started back up again how it feeds my soul and it helps me be the Darlene that I want to be for everybody.
All right, so I hope that helped answer your question and gave you a little insight. And I did also answer the second half of the question partially in that episode, and how has it impacted my life. And I did learn that running is what grounds me. It helps me stay grounded. But in addition, it also brought me closer to my husband. Running was something that we started together, and we really bonded over it, and I just think it made our marriage that much stronger. That is also another way that it impacted my life and my love and all of that good stuff. So I wanted to just add that to this episode. Tomorrow and the next day, I'll probably be a little bit creative in my episodes as well, as my son is home from preschool. There is no school. And so I have to get a little bit more creative because usually when he's at school, that's when I sit down and do these podcast episodes for you. So we'll see what comes. I'm glad that you're still sticking with me. I appreciate you listening. And until tomorrow, remember, be inspired by the most important person in your life, you. This is Darlene Victoria, signing out. Oh, before you go, I would love to connect with you. You can follow me on Instagram at DV Podcasts, and you can also find me on Facebook. Just look for Darlene Victoria Digital Media.